Well, Israel is not the only place that the Jewish community is facing threats. Across the world, Jews are under increasing attack as anti-Israel protests continue to be held internationally. In London, over 100,000 protesters flooded the streets chanting anti-Semitic and pro-terror messaging. Similar scenes have taken place in many cities such as New York, Paris, Istanbul, and others. Now, here to speak with us from London about the challenges of anti-Semitism today is the co-founder of the Tel Aviv Institute, Hen Mazzig. Hen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Emily. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. Now, you're in London now. What kind of scenes are you seeing there as it pertains to, of course, the war in Israel?
In the last few weeks, we've seen horrific scenes from London, footage of violence and chants to ethnically cleanse the Jews from Israel, genocide against the Jews. We've seen Al-Qaeda flags being paraded in the UK, and the police is not doing anything. In fact, we've seen footage of police officers taking down signs of the kidnapped Israelis in London, and it's really disconcerting for the Jewish community. I spoke to many of the Jewish leaders in the UK, and just British Jews in general are feeling that their safety is at risk, and that it's something that is not happening just here, it's happening around the world.
And now many pro-Palestinian or self-declared pro-Palestinian protests have had anti-Semitic, even pro-violent messaging in their chants. What is the Jewish community supposed to take from this type of behavior?
Right. I think that the Jewish community for a long time warned about those slogans, like the famous one, from the river to the sea, that we often hear in pro-Palestine marches, which has been popularized by the terrorist organization Hamas. And it is a call for a genocide of the Jews around the world. And the Jewish community has warned about this slogan. And we kept telling the police and everyone that would listen to us that we are worried about this chant being used. And we see that every time this chant is being used, violence erupt later. So it's not just a call for freedom. It's not just a call for equality or for peace. It's a call for ethnic cleansing. And when Jewish people hear that, we know exactly what it means. And we know that violence will come next. And if you don't mean violence against Jews, just say something else. Why do people insist chanting that and then saying that they don't hate Jews?
It's interesting, actually, you mentioned the from the river to the sea. In fact, there are additional chants that we've heard in recent weeks about justifying, because of occupation, so the resistance activities of Hamas are justified, more extreme than ever. And now we see that many people have made the point that Hamas is actually, in fact, anti-Palestinian in response, of course, due to their treatment of their own population. So if this is the case, and we see Hamas oppressing Palestinians themselves, why are there still protesters? I mean, what is the message that the protesters are trying to send?
Right. What is the message that they're trying to send? I'm asking them, actually, like, what are you standing up for exactly when you're chanting for violence against Jews, when brave Palestinians even from within Gaza are coming forward and saying that they don't want Hamas to control them, that Hamas has ruined the Gaza Strip. There was a ceasefire until October 6th. And since then, since Hamas inflicted some of the worst crimes against humanity on Israelis, the war has started. This should not have happened. All of this should have been. There should have been peace, and Hamas is the one that is responsible for it. So it's a good question to ask them. It's a good question to also pose to LGBTQ plus groups around the world that are saying that supporting Gaza right now is an LGBTQ plus issue. Why are you speaking up right now? Why haven't you spoke up when a young Palestinian was killed last year and beheaded in the West Bank by Palestinian groups because he was gay? Where was the outrage then? Why just now? Is it really about Palestinians, or is it about the identity of whoever they are in war with?
Absolutely. Now, one of the concerns of the Jewish community is, of course, that this will escalate into widespread violence against Jews. We've seen the tagging of Jewish homes in France and Germany now. We've seen attempted lynching, such as what happened in Dagestan in Russia. How do we stop such events from taking place?
I think it's important for world leaders and for just good-hearted people that have moral compass to look at it and say, okay, this is not okay. What the Jewish community is going through is just not okay in any way. And if there was some questions about the lines between anti-Israel and anti-Semitism, I think now we are all pretty much convinced, and there's no really way to dispute it. Hating of Jewish people comes hand in hand with hating Israel, and the other way around. And I think it's up to non-Jewish people around the world to stand up. We can't fight it alone. Jewish people are 15 million around the world, right? There's millions of others that really don't want us to exist. And I think it's important for leaders around the world to speak up, and for communities around the world to speak up for their Jewish brothers and sisters, and remember that whatever starts with Jews never ends with us.
Absolutely. All excellent points. Let's hope for better days ahead when it comes to this issue of anti-Semitism. Thank you so much for joining us, Hen.
Thank you, Emily.